Today, I'm going to talk about the infamous G word, almost as famous as the G spot, but it scares the F out of a lot of new Amazon sellers. What am I talking about? Of course, I'm talking about being gated. What does gated actually mean? It means that Amazon doesn't let you sell this product. You're either straight out restricted by Amazon, or you need to request approval from Amazon in order for them to let you sell it on their platform. I've seen it happen all too often before. A new seller finds a product on Amazon, they find somewhere to source it from, everything starts making sense, there's high profit, there's high ROI, high sales volume, low competition, everything looks good. They try to list the product on Amazon and Amazon says, hey, stop, you're gated. We need to request more approval from you in order to let you sell this product. A lot of sellers abandon selling on Amazon for this specific reason because they can't get past this and they just give up and say, Amazon's not for me. And I've seen it happen so many times. To understand this issue better, it's important to gather some perspective on the matter. Now, Amazon has between 5.5 and 6 billion products listed on their platform across all marketplaces. You starting off as a new seller might be gated in 80% of those, for example. I'm just making an assumption. It's not 100%. No one really knows how many products you're gated in and not gated in. But let's assume you're gated in 80% of those products. So 20% of those you're able to sell. Now, of those 80% that you are gated, let's assume that 40% just need you to request approval and the other 40% they're straight out restricted and you just cannot sell those products at all. So it's very important to understand that before moving forward. Now, the most common way that people know to get ungated is to use the supplier's invoices to get ungated for a brand. Remember, being gated is on a brand level. So if you're gated in Nike, any product that is from Nike that actually gets you approved will unlock all of Nike. It's just how it works. So a seller will get an invoice and they'll submit that information to Amazon and then they'll hope or actually pray to get ungated. Now, the problem with this is twofold. Firstly, it used to be that you'd only need to show Amazon a combined 10 units worth of purchases from a single brand in order for them to ungate you. This has recently increased. Sometimes it's 10, but sometimes it's 100, and sometimes it's 400 or 500 units, which is obviously very hard to get. The next problem is that many times, and I'd say probably 8 times out of 10, Amazon just will not accept the invoices. It's a very tough situation. So what are you going to do when you've purchased hundreds of dollars worth of goods to get ungated on a certain ASIN or a certain brand, and Amazon just flat out rejects them for no reason? They just tell you basically that your request was rejected. What are you going to do in this scenario? It's a very lose-lose scenario because you're both not getting ungated and you've spent all this money on inventory to try to get ungated using the invoices and you just flat out get rejected. What are you going to do in this scenario? You just lose money. So in my opinion, you need to approach it in a much different way. It's not all doom and gloom. There's one awesome way to get ungated, but people often overlook it. It's because they keep focusing on the tree and not the forest. Now, that awesome method I'm talking about is increasing your account metrics. So what does that mean and how do you do it? Now, what it means is by increasing your account metrics, you can get auto-ungated on a lot of products. How do you do it? You got to sell a lot of units. The more units you sell after a certain period of time, you will get auto-ungated on a lot of ASINs on Amazon. But then you're going to ask me, George, how do I get ungated or how do I sell these units if I'm gated and everything? Okay, focus on the 20% of ASINs that you can sell. Focus on selling as many products of those. Not every product has to be a home run, 200% ROI product. Sell something with a low ROI that sells in very, very high volume. Sell the F out of it. Sell 3, 4, 500 units a month. If you can combine some cheap ASINs that you can buy for $1, $2 that make you even 30 or 40 cents profit, sell that as much as you can. Increase your account metrics. By increasing your internal account metrics, you have 2 bonuses. One is, yes, you get ungated in a lot of Amazon's catalog. And the other one is that your account health metrics also increase. By selling high volume, your account health metrics increase. And anytime an IP alert might come through, an IP notification, you'll be safer than what you were if you weren't in a good position with high sales. I still remember when it happened for me. It was around 6 or 7 years ago. I was a new seller at the time. And every time I was requesting approval, it was just getting approved. I thought there was some type of glitch on Amazon. I thought something broke on Amazon's metrics and I was just getting approved for everything. And I thought, literally every single ASIN or brand that I would click to request approval, it was just getting approved. Later, I came to understand that it was because my sales volume increased quite a bit and Amazon auto-ungated me on a lot of products. And it's still happening. I have much more sales than I had then, and a lot of Amazon's catalog is available for me to sell. I would say more than 80, maybe even 90% of Amazon's entire catalog is free and available for me to sell at the moment. It's because I have high sales volume metrics. Now, I get there are still certain ASINs and brands that you just cannot sell. And it's the same for me. There are a few that I just cannot sell. And I get it that the only way that you can actually sell them is by providing Amazon the invoices. The problem with the invoices, of course, like I said earlier, is they may not get approved. It's very often that they do not get approved. So if you have to go down that route, if you have to only, do the invoice way, make sure you don't spend too much. Like there's a lot of these where they request 300 or 400 units. If you're going to be paying $20 times 400 units, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money to go to waste if you don't get ungated. If you have another avenue to sell the products, like let's say you have an actual retail store, a brick and mortar store, that's fine. You can do that then. Let's say you sell them on eBay or some other method, that's fine. You can go ahead and try that way as well. But if you're only selling on Amazon and they request the 400 units, it's going to be tough. Now, what you can do, you got to be smart about the way you approach it. Let's say you're trying to ungate for Nike, the brand, the shoes. Now, it will be silly to buy 20 pairs of Nike shoes in order to get ungated for the brand. Buy something cheap. Buy shoelaces. Buy socks, Nike socks. Try to get ungated with that. Don't get ungated with the most expensive product in their catalog. Try to go for the cheapest product within their catalog. So at least if you're going to lose some money, make sure you're losing a small amount, not hundreds or thousands of dollars. Make sure you're losing less than $50, for example. Buy something very cheap. That way, at least if you have to make a risk, you'll be risking a much smaller amount than a larger amount. So if invoices are the only way to get ungated, make sure you're risking a small amount, because it's not a nice day when you have to buy 300 units of something that costs $5. You're down $1,500. I don't care about being gated or ungated at all. Every day I have my VA do product research for me using that tool over there. They might find 100 ASINs for me to buy. Huge opportunities. I'll go through these ASINs and see which ones I'm gated and not gated in. Let's assume I'm ungated in 20 and the other 80 I have to request approval. I try to request approval for each one of them. Let's assume again I only get approved for 10 of those. So I can sell 30 ASINs out of this entire list. I'll sell the most I can of those 30 ASINs. I'll keep focusing on those 30 ASINs. Eventually at some point in the future, the remaining 70 that were gated will some point get ungated. Maybe not all of them, maybe another 10, but that's another 10 that I can add to my list of products that I can sell. Try to increase your metrics rather than trying to get invoices for all these products. If you are going to use the invoices, try to keep it as cheap as possible so you don't waste money on things that won't amount to you being profitable. So 2 suppliers that actually can assist you with getting ungated, they have invoices that sometimes work on certain brands. One is Frontier Co-op. They have a lot of beauty and groceries type of stuff. Their pricing isn't very good, but they can help you ungate sometimes for some brands. The other one is KH Connect. Their pricing is good only for the big sellers, the people that sell in very, very high volume. They provide them very good discounts, and they also have solid invoices which help you ungate for some brands, of course, not always, but it's not always guaranteed that these invoices are going to work. But I'm just throwing those two suppliers out there for you. So Frontier Co-op and KH Connect. I hope you got value out of this video. If you did, please like and subscribe. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. Also, join my Telegram group to get access to me and also a promotion code for this awesome tool over here. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.